Aiken, this year's UNICEF ambassador.
First question here from Dumfries, Virginia. You have said that your experience with UNICEF has been one of the greatest blessings you have had. Can you elaborate on that?
I think that probably for me, I would characterize it that way because I've had an opportunity. I've had so many opportunities I never thought I'd have before. Obviously, with this whole new career, being living in a smaller town in North Carolina to all of a sudden living in LA and traveling all around the country and performing and doing something that I love. But more than that, for me, it's really been that being working with UNICEF, being an ambassador for UNICEF, has given me. I'm in Vancouver, Canada today, and to me, that was the furthest I'd ever leave the U.S. Before my experience with UNICEF, and having an opportunity to not really just go and visit a different country, because I think visiting a different country on a vacation is one thing, but doing what I've had the opportunity to do, where you actually get to see how people live, and you get to see situations and being right there in Banda Aceh right after the tsunami was an amazing experience, an extremely eye-opening experience. To go from small town America, where you don't have any view of the outside world really, and then to the celebrity lifestyle, I guess if you want to call it that, where you're somewhat catered to in a way. And then to come out and go to a place like Indonesia or Uganda, where people really have to. Not only is the lifestyle completely different, but it gives you an opportunity to take a look at what you have. And it sounds very cliche to say it, but you take a look at what you have and what opportunities that I have as an American, and what opportunities I have in this country, it gives you such a different view of your own life, not just the people who you're working with or observing and seeing live. But it really, I think more than that, it's given me a different view of myself and my life as an American. And I know that sounds extremely cliche, and I hate to use it, but that's really been the largest benefit for me.
Clay, when you go to these places, and you've been to many, exactly what do you do? Is it basically observing, finding out what the people need or what has happened, or what?
That is pretty much what the purpose of an ambassador is. I grew up knowing about UNICEF only because it was the trick-or-treat program that you raise money. I knew it was the United Nations program, and for a while there was actually called the United Nations Children's Emergency Fund. And so my impression of it was that it only went into emergency situations. But the truth is now it's the United Nations Children's Fund, and very few people, while they know what UNICEF is, and in a very general way know what UNICEF does, they don't really know specifically what it is that UNICEF does.
And what does UNICEF do?
UNICEF works in 157 different countries throughout the world, not just in emergency situations. Obviously, they're on the forefront of emergency situations like the earthquake in Pakistan, the tsunami in Southeast Asia. They work on child nutrition. They work on child welfare in general, women welfare of children and women in third world countries and even in developed countries, because they worked in the U.S. After Katrina, all over the world to keep children safe, to keep them educated, make sure they're educated appropriately, make sure they're fed, make sure they're kept healthy. And so the job, to answer your question, of an ambassador really is to go and observe, and then I have the opportunity to come back and do things like this and interview and discuss with people what I've seen, the work that was done after tsunami.
And spread the word, in other words.
I'm sorry?
Spread the word.
Yeah, in a way. And fortunately for me, my very first assignment, I guess, if you will, was right after the tsunami, and I had the opportunity to actually thank people for the work that they had done, as opposed to coming out and asking them for money. Tsunami was such a major fund recipient from U.S. donors that it was an opportunity for me to actually go for my first trip and take a look at what UNICEF is doing with the money. Instead of saying, here's what they're doing, here's what they're trying to do, here's what they need to do, this is what they've done with your money. Thank you for what you've done, for what you've given. and let me show you and let me tell you firsthand how it's being put to work and how your money is making a difference. So that was kind of an interesting, a neat opportunity.
This from Vanport, Pennsylvania. Is it true that UNICEF will be donating half of the money collected from Trick or Treat to the victims of Hurricane Katrina?
It is. It's the very first time.
And Rita, by the way.
Okay, it's the very first time that they've actually worked in the U.S. UNICEF has a mandate to work in countries where their help is needed and asked for by the government, and as a generous country that we are, we typically don't take out of the coffers of UNICEF. We've never taken out of UNICEF's coffers before because we don't usually have that need, have that greater need, obviously, when there is a greater need elsewhere. So UNICEF's never worked in the U.S., but obviously with the tragedy for Katrina, the U.S. government has asked for UNICEF to help out, and so this is the very first time, and they will be given 50%. 50% of the proceeds from this year's Trick or Treat Fund will go to hurricane relief efforts in the Gulf states.
Any idea how much you expect to collect tonight in those UNICEF bags?
I really don't have any idea. I think this year this has been a tragic year with tsunami, people giving to tsunami right up through the beginning of this year from last year's tsunami, and then obviously the devastating hurricanes. I've lived through a few hurricanes myself, but none the magnitude of this year's storm. This is a storms. And so this has been kind of a tragic year, and so many people in the U.S. have really given a lot this year to different causes. And for that purpose, we hope to raise money. And I'll be completely honest with you, I'm not a very good spokesperson because I don't know how much we raised last year. but it is one of UNICEF USA's biggest fundraisers of the year, is Trick or Treat. And we're hoping that people are able to at this point still give to the cause this year, and realize that even though half of it will go to Katrina, half of it is going again to the 157 countries that UNICEF works in. And
are you planning to go to New Orleans?
Oh, I kind of opted not to. I think that at this, at least not yet. I think at the time that the storm hit, there was very little need for me to go down there as far as to be in the way. I kind of got disenfranchised a little bit, if I'm being completely honest, with a lot of the celebrity activity down there, which I feel like my greatest asset, if you will, or the greatest benefit from me doing something like this is, like I said, in Uganda. When I went to Uganda and had the opportunity to come back and discuss or talk to people about what's happening in Uganda, what UNICEF's doing. When I take a trip to Indonesia and have a specific purpose, it usually is to come back and talk about what's happening down there, what people can do to help, what people have done to help, what UNICEF's doing to help. And excuse me, obviously for Katrina, there was so much attention down there anyway. I think that a lot of, in my very personal opinion, I think a lot of people went down there for the wrong reasons. I don't think that there was really a need to bring attention to Katrina when the news outlets and the media was really doing that quite well on their own. And I felt that a lot of celebrities went down there for a self-serving purpose, and it kind of disenfranchised me. So I made a very pointed effort not to go down there. If there is at some point a time where I feel like I could do something that would be beneficial and wouldn't be self-serving, I think I might go. But until that time, I've kind of opted to not be in the way and allow the people who are experts in doing what they do best to do it.